So we're back. Welcome to the Work Podcast. Today we have Lauren. Lauren is awesome. Lauren is our office. Are you officially the office manager?
Yeah.
She's the office manager. Okay.
Yeah.
So I'm going to get into that first in a second. Lauren is here because Jessica Rose is getting her face reconstructed so that, quote unquote, as Jessica Rose says, the light bounces off it, which I'm just so excited about.
Me too.
Have you heard from Jessica Rose?
I have. She's
like
really
working
good.
away.
She's kind of
Did
working.
she send
I'm like,
you the picture?
rest. She hasn't sent me the picture.
Oh,
she
I
sent
got
you
a
the
picture. Yes. Wait,
I
I'll
have to
show it
ask
to you. Hold
Delish.
on.
I miss her. She's
Oh my
missed
God,
in the
oh
office.
my God.
Ooh.
I'm actually, Jessica Rose isn't going to be happy about this, but I mean, look at how cute she
What,
is.
Jess? Oh my gosh, I can't believe she's
Look
so
at Jessica.
Oh, she's ready.
She's ready.
Wow.
The light's bouncing off.
The light is
Anyway.
going to bounce off.
Okay, so Lauren's in charge of a whole bunch of things here. Actually, sorry, let's just talk about your job for a second before we get into mine.
Okay.
What do you do on a day-to-day basis?
Oh my goodness. Every day is different.
Okay.
Which I love about this role. I used to come from marketing. And
Okay.
it's just a little different. I like that I'm really active. I like that I get to help every team. A lot of logistics, a lot of working with the building, a lot of snack handling.
Okay, so let's talk about the snacks. The snacks is a very controversial topic here at Food 52. So you're in charge of snacks and someone in finance or something gives you a budget. Is that right?
It's true.
And I bet there's a lot of input on snacks.
There is a lot of input on snacks. There's people love the Beyond Corn, or I can't tell if they love it.
If they hate it and they love it. I'm obsessed with it and I can't quit it and I hate it.
If they love it or if they just love it because it's there.
Okay,
Do you know what I mean? But I would love your input on snacks and soap, by the way.
I hate. Oh, do you buy the hand soap?
I don't, but
Oh my
I
God, if
will
you
buy.
did, I'd be like, this is
better soap. I can do that.
No, I'm trying to get a sponsor. We need a sponsor to give us hand soap. So anyway, so at Food 52, there's been a lot of brouhaha over the snacks because I guess there was a certain way of doing snacks, and snacks had to be very healthy. And in general, I think our snacks are super healthy, but we're like teetering on the edge of like that house at Halloween where you're like the dad's a dentist and you're like, ugh, they're going to give out raisins, which are terrible.
Like, popcorn.
Yeah, like popcorn raisin. There's like these healthy Fig Newtons. Who wants those? Nobody eats those.
I know.
The other thing Jessica Rose says, we're not allowed to have Coke.
I think.
As in Coca-Cola.
Yeah, I know. I think maybe.
Is that true? I'm not down with that.
I think we could do whatever we want.
I agree with that. I'd like Diet Coke. I'm not a Coca-Cola drinker.
And the people in this office love Diet Coke.
Oh, they do?
Diet Coke evangelists.
Oh, really?
Here.
Okay, great.
I'm not one of them, but
have you been hearing about the controversy with Coke and Diet Coke or Coke and Pepsi?
No, tell me.
Snack Shop Annie was sharing it. So I guess people are, I know what it is. People are mad at Coca-Cola right now because of Trump. And so, maybe because the Koch brothers who are behind Coke are pro-Trump. So now people are buying Pepsi. And then there's a controversy between Olipop and Poppy.
Really?
Did you know this?
I did not know. Tell me.
We're going to look it up.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, Olipop versus Poppy.
I had no idea. They kind of, to me, are like the same.
We got to get to like the Reddit.
Where did you see it?
I didn't see it. I just heard about it in our content meeting.
Ooh.
Oh yeah,
we love Reddit.
Which would you buy?
Ooh.
This was 2 years ago.
Oh, that's not very current. All right, well, Snack Shop Annie might be.
She'll pop
she might
in.
be pulling my leg, but I was like, if there's a drama in the food business, I'd love to talk
Poppy's
about
better
it.
ingredients, but they're both great. Prefer Poppy. Huh. Are they both like good soda?
I think they're good soda.
Good soda.
Okay, so anyway, so you do the snacks, you help people do their stuff.
I'm kind of like a vibe curator.
You are a vibe curator. Okay, what's that mean? You bring good moods.
Try to bring good moods. No, I just try to like truly help everyone do the best they can do for their job. So like kind of fill in and things, whether it's like with Kieran logistics for the building, with photo shoots, or just being kind of like the liaison between the building and our crew.
Okay.
Yeah. And events. And
when the bell rings and you leave work, do you check in with work after you leave, or are you like, I'm out of here, I'm done?
I try to have, I'm very responsive. So I give my number to everyone. I'm like, if you need something, like, please call me, please text me. I'm like always available in that way. But I try to like have good boundaries and like leave the office and go have a life and go do my thing.
Okay.
Yeah. Hang out with friends.
Okay. I like that. Salon. Have you been to my cousin's bar?
Yes.
Is it cool?
I was actually going to talk to you about it.
It's cool.
I am so impressed with Andrew. It is
my cousin opened a bar in Brooklyn.
DJ opened a bar in Gowanus. Can we just talk about your cousin really quickly?
Yeah, definitely.
One of the best DJs in New York, hands down. incredible.
So funny. He comes from a really musical family.
I don't really know that much about his background, but I'm like so impressed how he like came to New York. Actually, he really inspired me to move here finally, because I went to one of his sets a few years ago.
Lauren's also from Vermont, so just a background. Okay.
And he DJ'd my sister's wedding. It was the first wedding he ever did. Yes. And so I think Andrew's very talented. And
would you date him?
I think he has a girlfriend.
Oh. Having a girlfriend is not conducive with a DJ life.
Oh my gosh.
But somebody's getting married. He might be actually getting married. I shouldn't say this. All right, never mind.
He's also a Virgo. We love that. But it was amazing. It was cozy. It was great vibes. He's a DJ, so he has an amazing vinyl collection, great sound system. It's an up-and-coming neighbor. I just thought I was so impressed.
You're just
he
down
inspires
with it?
me. Yeah.
How much are the drinks? Are they expensive?
Not too expensive. It was like natural wine, $15 for a glass of wine, steak frites randomly.
Okay, that's delicious.
Yeah,
That's
it's
fun.
good. I was like, it's really impressive.
Do you drink natural wine? That's so Vermont. It hurts. Oh my God. The natural wine.
I drink a lot of wine.
My brother's like, I only do the skin, whatever the skin
wine.
Skin
contact.
Yes.
It just makes you feel, maybe it's in my head, a placebo, but it makes me feel better.
Okay.
Or gives me a headache, maybe.
I'm down with that.
And I do like Vermont wine.
All right.
Delish.
Let's do the calendar.
Okay,
so Lauren's on the Lauren's on the 1s and 2s this week.
1s and 2s
so
this week.
Let's just talk about big meetings we have coming up.
Okay.
Ooh.
I feel like every meeting is a big meeting.
I don't know about that. We got a big customer purchase frequency meeting, which I'm very excited about. You must have set that. That's new.
A big 1:30 on Monday.
Yeah.
And then we've got a couple.
Oh, why aren't we having the programming meeting?
I don't know why that's canceled.
Okay.
I didn't cancel that.
All right, no worries.
Okay, we'll pop in. I'll make a note of that actually. And then after that, Tuesday. Oh wait.
Yeah, we can go Tuesday.
We can go Tuesday. Bagel Tuesdays. Sometimes you pop in.
I don't really do bagel
You don't really do bagel
although
Tuesday.
they look delicious.
I know they are
the
really
spread
good.
is great. Do you make the whole spread?
We just pop it in on a board. Usually people, But yeah, we make it look, we're on, we've scaled it back a little bit.
That's not because we're poor, which we are, but it's because people were eating all the bagels. There's a big, offices are so funny. Do you get all the office gossip?
I think I definitely am here all the time, so I hear all the things. For sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
What are the 3 big things that people are disgruntled about?
I would say the Navy Yard.
Okay.
Kind of.
Like Fort Knox, impossible to get
kind
in
of
here.
Or just not as many options for food.
Terrible
or just
options for food.
Not maybe easy to I think people love the old office because you popped out and you were in New York.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I agree.
Here you kind of just feel a little more
middle
sequestered.
of nowhere. Yep.
Other office goss. I don't know.
Okay, location, snacks. Are snacks a
maybe
topic?
Snacks are a topic. We've
Lunch
got
options is a topic.
You know what's a huge topic? The heat situation.
Ooh.
It's too hot. It's too cold.
I think it's too cold.
It's really, it
gets chilly.
It gets chilly.
But then when it's sunny out, it gets
really hot.
Yeah.
It's true.
Okay, so people just complain to you about that.
Which is fine.
What about where they sit? Who sits next to who? Do you get that? I'm sure
I don't get that.
Oh, really?
I do get questions, though. A lot of questions. About what? Just in general, where do I find this? Where do I go for this? And I like that because I like to be helpful.
Yeah, it makes you feel helpful.
Yeah, it makes me feel helpful.
Okay, I like that.
Okay, so Bagel Tuesdays, cookware, kitchen, pantry brainstorm. This seems like an exciting
I'm very excited about that.
That's
we have
going to be a really good
day.
one.
All of our merchants are sharing their insights on their categories, and we're trying to open up the air so that people can shine.
I love that.
So we're going to hear from all the merchants. So that's
fun.
all day. What day is that?
Very
Tuesday?
talented
That's
team.
Tuesday. Yep.
Yeah, you have that, and then it's
then we're doing this again.
Filming, and we're doing vintage home table brainstorm, which is same with merch. Got a couple reviews for a schoolhouse, couple interviews, hiring like crazy. Love it.
Leadership meetings, and I got a bunch of one-on-ones.
A lot of one-on-ones.
Yep. I think I'm doing a podcast.
Ooh. Who are you talking to?
Oh, February birthday celebrations. What's that? Are you planning that?
Yeah, we do once a month. We try to we're going to do a brownie Sunday just to celebrate all the people born in February.
Do you know who here is born in February?
I actually do know who here
Kiernan is.
Kiernan is the 20th. Georgia is tomorrow, the 13th. We've got Jess and Laura share a birthday on the 8th. We had someone on the 3rd. What am I forgetting? Yeah, I think we have 5 birthdays.
That's so fun.
Yeah, a lot of Aquariuses and a couple Pisces.
The other thing that people just put meetings on my calendar, like this 4 to 5:15. This lady just puts meetings on my calendar. Literally.
Really?
All the time. I just see it there. It's like whack-a-mole. All right. Then we're doing a couple more meetings.
Are you kind of ask for, what's your, how do you
Oh, I don't like when people put things on my calendar at all. Do you? It makes me feel like I have to. It's like when people put shit in my inbox that I don't want. Oh, I have a dentist appointment next week. That's exciting.
Are you religious about going to the dentist? Like, do you go every 6 months?
Definitely. I'm like religious about it.
Love
do
it.
you?
Yeah, I'm like, my mom's very much like dentist.
And gotta go to the dentist. Do you go to the dentist, Sarthik? I doubt you go to the dentist.
It's been a while.
You have really nice teeth, though.
But you're going to ruin them if you don't go to the dentist.
Yeah.
Do you floss?
Yes. And use a water pick. Do you floss?
What?
Okay.
I don't floss.
What about a water pick?
I heard about this, but I should get it.
Oh, the water pick's great.
Yeah, I heard the water pick is
It blows
awesome.
flossing out of the water.
Love it.
Literally. Haha, get it. All right. All right.
Yes,
then we're doing private label.
Oh, private label. I put that on.
That's good. I like that.
Okay, good. To kind of just talk through.
Yep. What we're going to do for private label.
Which is really exciting.
Yep.
That was when I saw that. I was excited about that.
And
and then hiring updates because have a lot of hiring going on, and your weekly with Zeal, which
that's fine.
That's
okay,
fine.
Great.
Should I accept
That's the week. All right, welcome back to work. We've got a great pod for you today. We're getting a ton of great feedback. We have adjusted the volume of the bleeps when I swear. Is that what that is?
Yes, I have adjusted that.
I did get some feedback that it was better.
Yes.
So I appreciate that. I didn't think I swore that much. Why are we bleeping out the swears?
It wasn't the swears. It was actually people's names.
Oh, okay. I was like, why are we bleeping when I swear?
No.
All right. Well, that's actually probably more sensitive than the swears. But we have a great episode today. We have Lauren. Lauren's the office manager. She's joining us. We're going to talk about what I'm struggling with at work, which is just the never-ending winter. We're going to do strategery. We're going to talk about generational knowledge, which Lauren and I actually also do. We went through a situation we had together, which really, I think, in my mind, encapsulates some gender differences. And we're just going to talk about work. So tips and tricks. This morning I was on the ferry. So it's cold in New York. I think by the time you're listening to this, it's cold probably wherever you are. It's like 28 degrees in Portland. And I always kind of make fun of West Coast people when they complain about being cold. But 28 degrees is cold. And I forgot, I was having one of those mornings where I looked at a picture Sarthik sent from last week's podcast. And I was like, Jesus, my hair is greasy. I should maybe wash my hair on the mornings that I do this. So this morning I woke up late. I woke up at 7. I jumped in the shower, and then all of a sudden I have to be in the car to go to the train by 7:24. So it's 7:31. I'm not in the car yet. My hair is wet. I don't have any socks on. As I get older, wearing socks is just becoming more important. When I don't wear socks, I have the worst day ever because I'm just so cold. It's like I'm turning into this brittle old lady, and it's like, I hate it. So I didn't have socks on. I didn't have gloves. I did have 2 jackets, and then I'm carrying a coffee, a tea, and a smoothie, and I'm juggling them. The people see me get on the Metro North, and they're just buyer beware, watch out, nobody sits next to this girl, because inevitably I'm going to spill something on myself or somebody else. And then today, so then I walk all the way down to the ferry. I stopped at CVS because my WLL, my women's lacrosse ladies, are sponsored by Maybelline. And I felt like the least I could do was to go buy mascara on 42nd Street. So I did. I bought mascara and hand wipes at CVS. And then I bought my mother some peanut M&Ms. I made a wild bet with my mother over the Super Bowl. She obviously lost. And the prize.
You were rooting for the Eagles? Was that
yes,
the bet?
Definitely rooting for the Eagles.
Oh, I was
I
so
hate
sad.
the Chiefs.
I was so sad.
Who likes the Chiefs?
It's
Nobody likes
just
the
fun
Chiefs.
to say fuck the birds. That was my only reason.
That is true. I agree with that. And Philly fans are disgusting and terrible, but I do have a few that I like. And it's kind of New England adjacent, which I'm a little biased to. But so I bought my mother 4 packs of M&Ms, in the box, like you get at the movie theater. Those are better. I like those. Long story short, then my hands are freezing and I'm just getting to the ferry, and I like to sit where I can see the boats come in because I'm always at risk of missing the ferry. And the New York City ferry system has the worst customer service, customer friendly, alert, your ferry is here. It's impossible to figure out where your ferry is. So it's eagle eyes. And then I was holding my smoothie and I dropped it because my hands were so cold. And then I was like, I'm having the worst day ever. And then I was like, you know what? The greatest shortage on the planet is positive energy. So I was like, I'm going to turn this thing around. I'm going to have a great day. I'm going to get on this ferry. I'm going to like not spill anything else on myself. I am going to order Sweet Greens on time so that I can have a ridiculously priced lunch at this office. And I think work is kind of just like that. You know, like you have all this stuff going on in your personal life. You have all these things you have to go through on the way to get to wherever you're going. And you drop your smoothie and you were really looking forward to it and your hands are really cold and you're like, fuck, am I going to be like miserable and curmudgeon-y and bitch at everyone and just be negative? Or am I going to be like, oop, that happened. I'm going to reframe and be as positive as possible. So I had the positive reframe self-talk on the ferry today and then came to work and I'm having a great day.
Did he get another smoothie?
I didn't get another smoothie. Because I make it from home. Smoothies are expensive.
They are very expensive.
And I like the way we make them at home. But
what do
it's
you use?
It's just a sad little smoothie. Oh, like all sorts of stuff. Like I get all the like frozen, like
berries,
like frozen tropical berries. Then it's like whatever's in the fridge. So like spinach, almond milk.
Oh, wow.
Whatever's in the fridge. It's indiscriminate. There's Indian food from the night before.
That sounds horrible.
So that's my big trick is that even when stuff doesn't go your way or you have that terrible meeting or something happens and you're just in a bad mood at home, try to reframe and remember that positive energy is the greatest shortage on the planet. And the more positive you can be about your work and about yourself and about your life and what you're trying to achieve, the better off you can be.
Now work.
All right. So Jojo, someone here has a really good idea for something that we're going to do next summer to bring like all of our buyers and press and influencers and people to Food 52. I was like, great, I love it. Let's do it. And we don't have anyone here who does events. So I was like, all right, I got to scramble together to figure out somebody to do it. So I'm like, usually like Jessica Rose could do it. But I was like, ooh, Lauren would be the perfect person to run it. So I was like, great, let's do it. We're going to give it to Lauren. I didn't ask you, which was probably my bad. But so we're like, okay, let's do it. And I think this is the difference in your generation and my generation, which is, I'm just going to set the scene and then I'll tell why.
Okay.
So I send the email out and I'm like, hey, it's got to be in July. And Lauren writes back, you write back and you're like, great, love it. Super happy to help. I just want to be upfront. I have a family vacation from July, whatever to whatever. And, just want to be heads up that I have that. No problem. And then like the emails go back and forth and you're like, well, I'd really like the event to be not right after I come back from my vacation, which my family vacation. And then there was like, there were like two more emails about Lauren's family vacation to the point I had to write Lauren an email and be like, Lauren, I love you. This company is not going to run itself based on your family vacation. But this is a generational thing, which is in my generation, if my boss's bosses, whatever, asked me to do something, I would pretend I didn't have a family. I would be like, yes, absolutely, right away, sir. I'll be there. I'll do it. And what's cool about your generation, I think, is that you're like, hey, just heads up, like I value my personal time. Yeah. I have a vacation. I don't want to be stressed on my vacation. I don't want to be freaking out when I get back from vacation. And I think you were coming from a place of like, hey, I just want to protect my boundaries and I want to do a really good job.
Yes.
So what do you think about that?
I know. I was like, I think the minute I sent the email, I said, I'm so...
oh my God, this family vacation. I'm going on this family vacation.
I feel like it's nuanced and it's a little layered.
Where's your family going on vacation? Just we
go every year to Maine. Okay, and it's great. Like our whole family. It's my grandma. It's my nieces. Okay. It's like kind of like a...
It's an institution.
It's an institution. It's like one, and my brother comes up. We don't see him that often. And I just was like, oh my gosh, okay, I want to be transparent. I want to like put it out there. And I didn't even think to be like, even if it, whatever works best for, we'll make it work, But I was kind of just like wanting to share what my availability was. Yes. And and I think I had, if I was thinking from like, let's say I asked my dad for advice, if I should send that email, he probably would have been like, no, because he's a boomer, definitely more of that vibe.
Work.
Yeah. Yep. But I I definitely could have, navigated it in a different way.
So good. I think that's the generational difference. And then people get the thing where I think people get shitty about it is that people will be like, the millennials and their vacations, which I'm like, oh my God, they are ridiculous about their vacations. You guys are ridiculous about your vacations. But I also admire it. And I do appreciate that it comes from a good place. Yeah. And I think that your generation is more, I think because you all are assaulted more by media all the time, that you have to be a little bit more forceful for boundaries than I had to be when I was at your age in my career.
That's interesting.
And I think you all value life more than we were just taught to be motivated to work. So anyways, I thought that was just like a great generational experience at work.
I think it was a lesson for me too around just being like, take a beat and like just make sure of like, I don't know, knowing who we're talking with and
it's hard because you want to. I always try to respond really fast, and then
I'm like I want to, and I want it to be like I'm so into this, like I can't wait to plan it. I think that's a good.
That was a good generational.
That is a good generational.
That's our generational segment.
I do think, yeah. I guess I didn't realize always too that millennials had the reputation of like taking a lot of vacation, but
actually, I'm not even sure you're a millennial.
I am.
Oh,
I am.
There you go.
I am, but I'm like a younger millennial.
Yeah, you're like cusp.
I'm a cusp, but I have older siblings, so I like kind of feel like a true millennial.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now work.
So I have a question for you, Sarthik.
Okay.
Well, actually, why don't you tell people? Can people see you or no?
Right now, people cannot see me.
Well, do you want to sit so people can see you?
Sure, I can. How do I want to do this?
Why don't you come sit here?
Yeah, I just want to make sure I'm in frame.
Do you want to introduce yourself?
I'm Sarthik here. I don't know actually if I want my last name out there, but
why don't you just say it's like Madonna.
Hi,
okay,
I'm
so you're
Sarthik.
Sarthik.
Yeah.
And
how's it going?
It's going well, Sarthik. And describe how we found you, how I found you, and what you do here.
I am a producer here at Food 52. You found me through a common, person who interviewed you for a podcast.
And then I DM'd you. I think I DM'd you.
Yes, you DM'd me.
When you got the DM, what were you like?
I was I guess I was expecting it really. Okay. So I was just like,
that was random to crawl in your DMs.
It was like,
Sarthik's also being modest. Like Sarthik worked on the comedy circuit and like with good comics.
That's right. Okay, now I remember the DM. It was actually very funny.
Oh, it was?
Yeah, because your DM was like something along the lines of, hey, I heard about you and what you do. I really want to get to like hire you, but I don't do anything as cool as what you do.
Yep.
I go to bed early. This is
definitely not going to be funny. I go to bed early. I'm like, it's your dream job. You don't have to work up all night and weekends.
Yeah. That was hilarious. I was like, but because I'd heard of you, I didn't follow Barstool like that closely, and so I knew that you were Barstool CEO, but at the same time, like you weren't in the know. Like,
no, I'm not. I wasn't in the mix.
Yeah, you weren't in the mix like Dave was, or like Big Cat was, or KFC were.
Yeah.
So like, there was always like, Erika. I would hear it on their pods and stuff, but I never had like a face to it. So when I got the DM, and then my friend also was like, hey, like this is somebody I interviewed, and they're looking for maybe potentially something. I was like, Erika. That's cool.
Fun.
Yeah.
I was like, I'm looking for a guy.
Yeah, exactly.
That's how we describe it at Barstool. Exactly. I needed a guy.
Yeah, that's how they describe it. And pretty much that's been what I've been.
You've been the guy.
I've been the guy.
Sarthik's my guy. Yeah. He tried to kill me like 2 weeks ago. Speaking of being cold, Sarthik dumped me in the middle of Washington Square next to some crazy guy with a piano who was really looking like he'd like to eat my capitalist soul for lunch.
I said we could move.
You did say we could move. And then I was like, so how do you like it here?
Great.
You like
it?
Yeah,
I love it. I love food.
Do you? Do you do the come and get it?
Not as much as I'd want to. I am always like, somehow I miss it.
Yeah, same. I never get the Slacks. Yeah. I'm not like a Slack junkie.
By the time I see it, it's like yesterday.
It's ticked over.
Yeah, there's nothing left. But I love food. I love lifestyle. I love home. So it's like very like just my beat.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
at Barstool, I would never, sometimes there would be like food put out. And the one thing Dave and I had an unspoken, we never once in our life together talked about it, but we never ate the food that everybody else ate at Barstool because it was so disgusting and nobody washed their hands.
I can imagine.
It was disgusting. But here, actually, it's nice. Like I would eat the food.
Yeah, here
come
like
and get it. It's nice.
Fresh.
It's like on like, it's cute plates and fancy forks.
Yeah,
and
Nia, Caesar, they do a great job of like plating it and making
nice.
it beautiful and it's warm. Like Nia makes those like butter buns or something.
Oh my gosh, so good. Yesterday she made chocolate chip cookies.
See,
it was
again,
so good.
I missed it.
I know. They actually we weren't allowed to eat them, which I was sad about. Okay, so here's my question. Speaking of current events, so what do you think about what's happening in Washington with like all the federal workers? Like, what do you follow the news on that? What do you think about that?
A little bit. Like, you mean just
like the
funding?
Doge stuff and everybody gets a fork in the road and there's all these people, I think there's like 40,000 plus people who've chosen to take a package. Like, are you not hip to this?
Yeah, no.
So I think what's interesting, so obviously like Trump is on a roll and there's all this happening and it's so, speaking to things that are layered and nuanced, like there's so much happening around it. But one of the things is this Department of Government Efficiency is really trying to create efficiency. And obviously they'll go too far and cut too deep. And there's probably 14 billion unethical things with it. But one of the interesting things is like really trimming the federal government and making the federal government far more lean. And so did you hear about the fork in the road?
I haven't heard about the fork in the road.
So the fork in the road was when Elon went to Twitter.
Okay.
And he looked at, I think Twitter had something like 8,000 employees. I could be making that up, but I'm pretty sure they had like 8,000
But when he
employees.
got there?
When he bought it.
Yeah, I remember that he laid off a bunch
like,
of people.
hey, there's fork in the road. Either take the package
it.
now or like take your chances and you might make it or you might not.
Oh, yeah. I remember that. I remember that with Twitter. So he's doing that the same way.
He's like literally doing it in the federal government now. So now there's a lot of judges who are like, that's illegal. Like you can't do that.
Yeah.
But I think I do think the legality is important. And obviously I think there's I think I'm so curious what history will say about this time. It'll be so interesting when we actually have perspective. But I do think it's interesting in creating change where I think if you're going to create change, whether you hate Trump or like Trump, you have to move fast and you have to be deliberate and decisive and not care about the backlash. And sometimes it's like the ripping of the Band-Aid. Like I think about it here and like we're trying to create so much change here and I'm like so soft that I'm like, well, like let's talk about it. And then I get irritated in all the talking about it and I'm like, we just have to do it. And it's sometimes it's easier just to do it.
Definitely. I mean, I think of the mentality of doing it and then figuring it out is always better than pondering over something over and over again.
Definitely.
But yeah, I mean, there is also, of course, a right way to do it. So
yeah, it's kind of it's a thin line.
Yeah.
Did you hear about the pennies?
Oh yeah,
we're not going to make more
right?
pennies.
No
I was
more
thinking
pennies.
I should go get like $100 worth of pennies just to have.
I mean,
so that like
nostalgia.
someday my grandkids will make like $1 million off of our pennies.
I've always thought about that though, that it's more expensive to produce something than the worth of it.
That's dumb.
So that is dumb. Like that's.
When's
I'm fine
the
with
last
that.
time you paid for something with pennies?
Never.
Like ever, right?
Yeah. My only memory with a penny is my grandma pointing it out when I was like.
Little.
Yeah, very little. Being like, oh, there's one right there, and it never moved. So I was like, oh, okay. Like,
you're like, cool.
Nobody even wants to take a penny.
When I was a kid, I used to take the pennies, and there was a train near us, and I would run up and put the penny on the train track, and then it would flatten the penny out. That seems very dangerous and like a bad idea.
That is very dangerous.
Now that I'm saying that.
I mean, I did that on. They used to have those like kiosk machines.
Yeah, but you could like slide it in.
Yeah, and then we'd make like a different shape out of the penny. So I did that similarly, just safer.
Well, see, your future generations will not do that. All right. Thank you, Sarthik. That's great. Let's do, can we still do current events with you sitting here?
Yeah. So there's another current event that I've found that many workers would take a pay cut to work from home. Some would even let go of 20% of their salary to do that right now.
So if you make $100,000, you would make $80,000 to work, to not ever have to go to work.
Yeah, researchers polled 2,000 workers, and about 9% would trade at least 20% of their salaries to preserve telework.
At least?
Yeah.
And what percentage?
9% said.
Okay.
Yeah, so not that many. Out of 2,000, 9% were like, we'll take a pay cut.
I don't know if I agree with that. Look, I think if you really want to work remote, you can probably find a remote work job that is valuing the job at a value or a monetary amount that you think is fair. I don't feel like it's funny that like the work is less hard because you're at home and you don't have to commute. I don't actually think companies should necessarily pay people less by virtue of where they work from. And I don't agree with it for employees either. Like, why are you worth less because you don't want to work in an office? Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I mean, I agree. It's like, it should be the work, like what's valued, not where you're working from.
I think so. I think the other hard thing with it, which happens with work, is that you start somewhere and then, I don't know, something changes, you change, the job becomes interesting, whatever. And then you're like working 4 times what you thought you would be working. So to take a discount just to be able to work from home, what if you end up going to work? Then you get pulled into the office, you get like sucked into it. And then you're like, you're stuck in that position where you need to then negotiate to get back to where you should have been.
But also I think I also think that it's nice to be around more people.
Definitely.
It just makes you work more, and you find like, you can, at least from my standpoint, like I can find more creativity.
Definitely.
In
from
the
humans.
work I do, just like, I'll see something or whatever, like producing something, I'll get different ideas. But if I'm just like in my room editing and not like stepping out as much, then I sometimes tend to feel my creativity kind of like lacking.
I think so too. It's so funny. I had one of the ex-Barstool producers, Caleb Presley's producer, come over yesterday, and he's great. Like one of the most talented people ever. And he only works from home, and he's like, it's Groundhog's Day. Like I'm just, especially in your profession where you're like, it's not like you're talking to people all the time. You're like in an edit, and you're just in an edit all night, all day, and you're already thinking about it all the time anyways. I think that piece is tough.
It's good to have that, because like when it's so like long hours of editing, you just forget yourself in it. And then like I've found myself editing in dreams.
Oh, I believe it. You're like,
so,
it's like my kid who's like kills people on the internet in their dreams. You know what I mean? Like video games, like, okay, I agree. That's a good current events.
Great.
We're into our teaching segment. So I thought Sarthik thought the topic we should do today was being on a board. So I think being on a board is a great opportunity, first and foremost, full stop. I think if you are in your career and you have 10, 15 years under your belt and you're developing an expertise in a certain space, it is great to help other companies. And it's hard to get that first board seat. I can remember I had just gotten the CMO job at AOL, and I was really, really desperately eager to be on a board. And I was trying to be on a board. And it's hard to get that first look. I think that's one thing it's hard to get that first look. My advice would be is if you're looking to get into a board, you should start by advising companies, maybe even informally, or start by being a participant and on committees in industry type associations. So we have a really talented woman who works here who is in customer service, and she sits on whatever the retail customer service group committee is. And it's a great way for her to meet other people in the industry. It's a great way for her to learn a lot, and it's a great way for her to network. And I think she will ultimately parlay that into getting to be on a board in the retail industry. So I think the first thing I would do is, if you work for a startup and your startup has an investor, Get familiar with the investor, get familiar with what other companies are in that investor's network, and to use your time, whatever time you have for networking or whatever spare additional brain power you have at work, use that time to go help companies in that network. So like right now, I'll give you an example. Like I'm jammed. I feel like I don't have a lot of time, but I always try to stay current with what the other companies are in the Chernin portfolio. One, because I think they're interesting. Two, because I'm eager to learn something. And three, sometimes they're interested in something from here or from Barstool or whatever. But it's a good way of growing relationships and building trust and also sharing knowledge, which is really, and giving unique perspective, which is really the foundations of being on a board. I think the first board gets you your second board seat. Your second board gets you your third board seat. The thing about being on a board is you want to be consistent, you want to be clear, you want to add value, you want to be really respectful to the company and also to the other board members. And this can be, I always try to sit up a little bit straighter and like be a more professional version of myself when I'm at my boards. And the reason is it's an honor and a privilege to be on somebody's board. They don't have to choose you. There's 1,000 other people that they can choose. And they're really looking to get your input on what their strategy is and where they're trying to go and how they're trying to get there. And that requires some deftness. I've had boards in my career where the people on the boards are just super overbearing and they want to operate the company. Or I've had boards where people are just super disengaged. Or I sit on a board right now where everyone complains about like the meetings end 5:00 on Friday, and everyone complains about the late travel home on Friday night. And I'm always like, what the fuck? Like, it's such a luxury and an honor and a privilege to be on this board. Yes, I'm going to blow my Saturday because I had to take a red eye or I'm on a plane all day. But that's what's asked of you. That's what comes with this great opportunity and privilege to be part of something. So I think those are the big things. The other things I would say are, don't be afraid to be outspoken. Don't be afraid to be contrarian. Don't be afraid to challenge the thinking. You always want to do it in a respectful way. You want to do it where you have your facts straight. Like, you don't want to just make people look stupid or feel small or not feel like they can trust you to help them grow their business. You want to offer really critical advice and critical perspective in a way that is designed to help people. I think the second piece is you got to read all the materials. And, if you don't really get the financial packet, have a pre-call with someone about the financial packet. I try to, before I go into a board meeting, always have a pre-call with someone of like, hey, what's going on here that I don't understand? What are the dynamics that are happening that I should be aware of? How can I be helping you in this meeting? Or here's something I'm going to harp on in the meeting and I want you to be aware of it ahead of time. So really making sure you have a dialogue. I don't think companies love when the board members just show up for the meeting and eat the snacks and then go home. I think they really appreciate when you're deeply invested with them and you're participating and you're on their team. So those, I think, are the big things about being on a board. I always write a thank you note after every board meeting. If you're on a public company board and even a private company board, you have a massive fiduciary duty to the shareholders. So you have to take that responsibility very seriously. You are beholden to them. You have a responsibility to make sure there's governance in the company. We can do another whole one of these on like how board committees work and what that looks like. But I think the big thing is if you're interested in being on boards, that's a great thing. And it's a great way to get perspective. And it's a great way. I always find, sometimes people give me shit here for being on so many boards. I wrote about this last week on Substack. People were like, why are you joining the vice board? And you know what? Like,
what's your Substack?
Oh, my Substack is The Great Ones Play Hurt.
There we
Should
go.
I say that?
Yeah. A quick plug.
The quick plug for I always forget. I wrote a Substack this morning on how to talk to your investor. And then I forgot to plug the podcast. And I was like, oh, I'm so stupid. But what was I saying?
People giving you a hard time.
I think
for joining
it's just
boards.
A great opportunity to learn. And I think really funny things can happen out of opportunities. You meet new people, you get exposed to new ideas, you hear about companies doing things. I like Vice personally because they're going about growing and turning around a business in literally the most opposite way of this company. And I'm like, I can learn a whole lot from that. Mm-hmm. And hopefully they can learn a lot from what we're doing too. So I think you also have to be mindful that there's a value exchange. And then you got to put your money where your mouth is when you say that you will help a company with an introduction, or you say you'll help a company with helping them figure out XYZ, you've got to really do it. And most people won't actually do it and follow through. So that's really a chance to set yourself apart. And then the last thing is, you can be on somebody's board without having the title and the recognition and the paperwork and something in Carta that says it's real, So I think the other piece is, if you're interested in growing your network, learning, sharing knowledge, getting knowledge, there's a whole bunch of ways you can do that super informally. And doing it informally is probably the first great step to doing it more formally. Now work. All right, we're doing strategery. Our strategery word today is bandwidth. So bandwidth is the word. Bandwidth obviously comes from how much capacity something has. It's kind of an internet word. It's a technology word, I think, in its origin, in the etymology, as they call it. But what's funny about the word bandwidth is it really is just saying how much capacity someone has and how much ability they have to take on more projects, more work, more this, that, or the other thing. And I think bandwidth sometimes gets a negative rap at work because the people who talk about bandwidth are sometimes like the softest people at work, but it's like the capacity protectors at work, like the people who are like, I don't want to work past 5 o'clock. I don't want to go beyond my limits. I don't want to stretch beyond my current job description or my current role. So bandwidth can have a funny connotation at work because sometimes, not always, a lot of times at work, the best people seem to have inordinate capacity to take on more things. And that's a really great quality because, there's the old adage of like, who do you give something to someone to do? You give it to a busy person because the busy person can get things done. In other cases, there's the people who stretch themselves way, way, way too thin and take on way too much. And that in that case, they should be thinking more about their bandwidth constraints and their ability to deliver at a quality level and with a frequency and a consistency that works. And also, sometimes people who have bad boundaries or who don't think about their bandwidth end up really depleted and fried and kind of exacerbated, which makes everything feel yucky and tumultuous and emotionally overwhelming. So bandwidth, meaning capacity, I think is a good thing to think about at work in general. Of our buzzwords, I think it's one of the most benign, but I do think bandwidth can be mocked at work, mostly because of the intention of the people who say it and what they're really trying to do, which is, are you trying to be a great teammate? Are you trying to help get something done? Are you bought into a vision? Or are you just trying to keep your garden really, really small and contained and you don't want to add anything to it? I think in general, people don't love those kind of people at work. In some cases, I could be wrong, but in most cases, I think I'm pretty right. And that is the tension around the word bandwidth. Now work. Okay, so speaking of bandwidth, I would say that one of the things I'm struggling with at work, and I think a lot of people are struggling with, is how do you have enough bandwidth for everything you want to do? And how are you prioritizing and managing your time and your day and your energy and your resource and your own personal pilot light, your own capacity to get all the things done? I struggle with this all the time. I think that I tend to be a person that wants my calendar really tight. Like I want it fill. I want to always be doing. But as I get more mature and as I do more, I'm like, God, that's like actually not the best way to do things. And it's just creating this frenetic energy that doesn't actually get anywhere. And sometimes being patient and sometimes moving a little bit slower and a lot more deliberately can have way better results. I'm struggling with bandwidth because I feel personally like I'm trying to context switch all the time. Like I'm doing all this Food 52 stuff. I've got the board work, which comes up, monthly or weekly. I've just added the Vice people to the mix, and like they have a lot of questions and they have a lot of ideas and they want to talk about a lot of things. And then I have all this stuff I'm like initiating for work and for the Substack. And I'm like, it's really slapshot. It's really scattered. I find myself like writing a Substack at like 10 o'clock on a Saturday night, which probably makes me a loser, but
no, it doesn't.
Then I'm doing that. And then I'm context switching to something else Sunday morning. And then I'm initiating another thing. And then I forgot about it. And then I ordered this thing on the internet, but it hasn't come yet. And I don't know really where it is. And then I was supposed to respond to someone, and did they write back to me? And it's like, it becomes like you're a waiter with all the plates in the air, and just like inevitably, like the smoothie, one of them is going to drop. So I think that's something I struggle with. I think it's something a lot of people struggle with. We had a really good meeting today where we've been really focused on an executive level set of reporting, like a governing dashboard for Food 52, which sounds really dorky and like stupid and not interesting, but it actually is going to be so game changing because it puts everyone into one set of metrics, and it puts everyone into one forum and into one occasion where you're just looking at one set of numbers and discussing what we do with it. And I was talking with our team today about it. And one of the things I was saying about it was, this is a big moment for Food 52 because the fact that we have this is going to pretty radically change some people's jobs where, at Schoolhouse and at Food 52, we have people who manually move from one Excel spreadsheet to another Excel spreadsheet, and we're spending all of our time fetching the data. We're spending all the time like getting the report, checking the numbers, and we're spending zero time thinking about it. And so my message in the meeting was for the managers of that and the leaders of that, that's going to be a big culture change, because while it sucks to go chase report 1 to report 2 to report 3, what is really scary is when you can't busy yourself with that. You can't take comfort in the repetition or the experience you have in it. And you have to be like, why were sales down yesterday? Because that's a way scarier question, and it's a way harder answer. And then it's going to be followed with the next question of like, what are you going to do about it? So I think that's a big change. I think the second big change is that getting people, kind of to the conversation we were having earlier in this show, getting people to change. It's swift change is the easiest, but the only way you can do that is if it comes top down. And so really making sure that our management team is abiding by the numbers and living the numbers and using this dashboard is the only way we have like a hope and a prayer of anybody in the company using it. And I think that's a little bit TBD, because that group also is pulling all the numbers all the time. And I think it's a great opportunity. And the reason I share it is like we said, 4.5 weeks ago, 5 weeks ago, we said, we're going to have this exec report. We gave it an owner. We were going to wait for it. I didn't bug anyone. We didn't have any frenzied meetings. We didn't do check-ins. Today was the day where we saw it. And it was a good reminder of, if you have a lot going on and you have a lot at stake and you have a lot of moving pieces, sometimes it's better to just make yourself quiet and focus on just the few that really, really matter, and giving those things the time and space to really transpire. Like I have a roving, like this is my notes notebook. It has like 400 things in it. And now I'm trying to get to, hey, I'm just going to do 4 things. And that's where I'm focusing my time. And those 4 things are big enough that they will affect the 400 things that, fall under it. And so that would be both what I'm struggling with as well as my advice, which is, how do you deal with being overwhelmed? How do you deal with being near your capacity or at your max bandwidth? And then what do you do to make things happen that can solve that iteratively over time? And then how do you keep challenging yourself? I talk to myself about this all the time, to not fall into the repetition and not fall into the habit and not fall into like just the comfortable way of doing things, but really being able to take a step back and say, ooh, like what if we did this totally differently? How would we do it? What would we do? And giving that the space to happen and then seeing what that opens up for you. So that's it.
Great.
All right. That's it for today. You can call us. Nobody's calling us. This is the last time. This is the last chance you. Call us with your exit interview if you have one, or if you just want to talk to us, or if you have something to say. 866-85-ASK-ERIKA. That's 866-85-ASK-ERIKA. Or 866-852-7537. So 866-852-7537. Do us a favor, give us a rating or a review. We would love it. If you hate the pod, tell us. If you love the pod, tell us. If there's things we should be doing better, we would love to know. We appreciate your rating and review. The Lemonada people will very much appreciate it. And that's it. So we'll see you here next week.